Hello, let's talk about the spinal cord. So the spinal cord is the other part of the central nervous system. Okay, spinal cord then extends from the brainstem. So after the medulla, you get your spinal cord. This is spinal cord extending down. Its job is to carry axons down the spinal cord to get your spinal nerves to go out to your muscles. So structurally, the spinal cord has, which ends at the L1 vertebra. It begins at the medulla oblongata, that's where it starts, and ends at the L1 vertebra. At this point, we call that junction point here, that's called your conus medullaris. That's the official endpoint of a spinal cord. Of course, axons still extend beyond that point, down at this, and they extend down here to exit between vertebrae, which are lower than L1. So this bunch of axons coming down here is referred to as your cauda equina, which means horse's tail, as it looks like a horse tail right there. And then the spinal cord is also anchored to your coccyx. So your coccyx down there is anchored by a tiny pia mater, okay? And that pia mater anchor is called your filum terminale, all right? Then also, as we descend the spinal cord, there are two areas where it gets a bit wider than normal, okay? These two areas of widening of the spinal cord are referred to as your cervical enlargement there, and your lumbosacral enlargement. And these two areas are thicker because there are more axons here, more neurons here, which must exit to go out to your upper limbs and lower limbs. So this is due to the upper limb innervation. This one is due to lower limbs. Okay, innervation there. How many neurons must get out to those many muscles on your upper limbs and lower limbs? Okay, so along the way, as the nerves, as the axons travel along the spinal cord, they will exit out. Remember your intervertebral foramina? This is how they get out, between the vertebrae. And so they form pairs of spinal nerves, okay? So you have, so for your spinal nerves, you have 31 pairs of them, okay? So I want you guys to know how many of each you have. So you have 8 cervical spinal nerves called C1 through C2 through C8. Okay, then you have 12 thoracic spinal nerves called T1 through T12. You have 5 lumbar, L1 through L5, 5 sacral, S1 through S5, and then one coccyx called your CO1 nerve. Okay, so you have 31 pairs of spinal nerves on each side of the spinal cord. So please know the total number, 31 pairs, and know how many are in each region of the spinal cord. Okay. Now, next we're going to look at the meninges. The meninges of the spinal cord are same as the meninges of the brain, meaning your pia mater, arachnoid mater, and dura mater. So let's look at that part. Okay, so this is, if this is your spinal cord here, this is spinal cord like this. Spinal cord here, okay. It is again wrapped by your pia mater. Okay. That's pia mater that hugs the tissue of the spinal cord. Then around it will be your arachnoid mater with space between the pia and the arachnoid mater. This is your arachnoid mater. Okay. And between the pia and arachnoid mater, of course, is the space. This space is called your subarachnoid space, just as it was in the brain. And in this space is where you have your CSF. Okay, your cerebrospinal fluid surrounds the spinal cord by flowing in that space called your subarachnoid space. And then above the arachnoid mater, you next have your dura mater. So here is your dura mater. No gap between the arachnoid and dura mater. And here, unlike in the brain where you had 2 layers of dura mater, here there's only 1 layer. And that 1 layer is the meningeal dura mater. Okay, let me try to voice it over there. And so then if you imagine that, you know, if this is your, say, your, remember, this is going to your vertebral column. So right here is your vertebra back here, that's surrounding the vertebral column. There's a gap here. There's a gap between the arachnoid mater and the bone of the vertebrae. So that gap, the gap between the meningeal dura mater and the bone, and that gap is what we call your epidural space. So here, this space is your epidural space. This is where you get injections to deaden the nerves, especially during childbirth, in that space right above the meningeal dura mater. There is no periosteal dura mater in the spinal cord. Okay, continuing here is also, sometimes you may need to sample CSF. So the way that we sample CSF, we put a needle here and suck out CSF to see what's going on in your CNS, and that's called a lumbar puncture. It's a technique to remove CSF from that space, to sample it. Again, so you get your epidurals here in that space, that's putting stuff in, and you use the lumbar puncture to remove stuff from CSF, from your subarachnoid space. All right, let's pause there.